A week that the markets aren't really moving a lot, but Google has a lot of news. Meta and Lyft are letting go of a lot of employees. We're going to look at everything. We're going to dive into the news. And of course, as you know, we're going to look into the week ahead, which is going to be even crazier than this week. Are you ready for it? Let's summarize the week. Let's go. Hi everyone, I'm Micha Stocks from our channel Stock Talk with Micha Stocks, where we talk about stocks, we talk about the stock market and see how we can be better investors, better traders. Everything is happening on our channel called Stock Talk with Micha Stocks, where we have over 1.6K subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, it would be amazing if you can hit that subscribe button. By the way, if you're younger than the age of 18, write down so I'll know how many of my viewers are younger than 18. Yes, you know who you are. So I can maybe even add more than weekly summaries so you can learn better about the stock market. And this is a great reminder that this is only for education and entertainment purposes. Nothing here is financial advice. Let's dive into the markets. Basically, nothing really moved. Not the Dow, not the S&P, not the NASDAQ, not the Russell. You can see the major averages not doing much. Year to date, they're still significantly higher. S&P up 8%, NASDAQ up 16.2%. Only Russell and Dow Jones are still laggards. When we look at the crypto market, on the other hand, Bitcoin didn't have a good week. Started at above 30, now it's 27.8 while I'm recording this video. ETH, which was 2,100, is now 1,800, so we see a drop there. Still, year to date, 67% Bitcoin is up and 56% ETH is up. And when you're looking at the other, let's call them coins or projects, you can understand that they're not yet performing as they should because the market is not in a risk-on mode. It's still a risk-off mode. When you're in risk-off mode, you will still go to the biggest and the strongest, which are Bitcoin and Ether. When we look at our different sectors, we can see consumer staples and real estate and utilities up over 1%, also financials that reported this week. On the other hand, we can see energy dropping 2.5% due to oil cooling off after a very big run-up, and communication down 2.6%. Looking at the industries themselves, home builders, solar, airlines, and regional banks are recovering, and of course REITs. On the other hand, we see laggards in the clean energy, oil services, gold miners, metals, and oil and gas exploration. Let's dive into the news. Initial jobless claims came higher than the expectation. The expectation was for 240,000. It came at 245,000. We are starting to see the labor market hitting what we waited to happen. We're starting to see all the layoffs, let's call them, inside the jobless claims. And this is another sign that whether we are already in a recession or we're entering a recession, this is another sign in a large amount of signs. SpaceX history on Thursday launched a very, very heavy booster, which can take up to 100 people all the way to Mars. It was unmanned. Don't worry, nothing happened. And the reason why I'm saying don't worry is because after it launched 3 or 4 minutes of gaining thrust and going up the sky, there was supposed to be a separation between the two parts, and separation didn't go well, and they needed to blow up the missile or the shuttle, whatever you can call it. This is going to be the shuttle that's not this specific, of course, is going to be the shuttle that's going to carry astronauts to the moon. It's a huge achievement, and at least from what I'm hearing in the last few hours, probably next launch in 2 to 3 months, because a lot of things can be reused, and that's part of the history here. A rocket that can be used, again, not specifically this rocket which was blown up, but others. This is everything, and there were a lot more of the companies that reported this week. We got a lot of headlines, a lot of reports, a lot of earnings reports. This is a good time for anyone that's a long-term investor to go back, to look into each company's IR. You can also do something like this. You can take ChatGPT, chat.ai, or Bard. It doesn't really matter which one you're using. This is ChatGPT. You can copy paste This is, for example, American Express's earnings letter. I just copy pasted it inside. And you can ask ChatGPT to summarize it. And ChatGPT will summarize it. For example, I asked, what are the highlights? He gave me the 5 top highlights for American Express and Discovery. Then I added Discovery and asked him to compare between the two companies. So AI, ChatGPT, the big news is now in our hands, and we can be just better educated investors in everything we do. I might post a different video. Write me in the comments if you want a specific video, how to use Bard, ChatGPT, and other websites in order to be a better investor. Write me in the comments below. Amazon is releasing Code Whisper. Code Whisper is going to be the competitor of GitHub's Copilot, the ability for developers to develop faster without remembering a lot of things, again, based on AI and machine learning. Samsung, beginning of the week, almost a week ago, at least according to New York Times, considered removing Google as the default search engine. Now, it's a bit complicated because Samsung runs on Android, and Android is Google, so it might be more of a headline rather than something that can really happen. But it created a lot of pressure, of course, on Samsung, again, saying that they might think of Microsoft Bing as a better option for their search engine. This creates a lot of pressure for Google. Google is racing to build their new AI. They're combining teams. We're going to see that here. They're merging 2 main artificial intelligence research teams, which was never considered, and everyone would have said you're crazy if you think it's going to happen. They're combining Google DeepMind and Google Brain into one unit. All this in order to try to combat OpenAI and their achievements. So that's Google and their abilities. NVIDIA is selling their chips like crazy. Chips are not available, and also the graphic cards, which means that eBay is making a lot of money because people are selling their chips and their processors at a very hefty price. And why is Google, Samsung so dramatic? Not because of Samsung. Samsung's bill or the check that they're getting from Google is quite low, considering. The biggest check that's been written is to Apple, which is getting $20 billion from Google in order to have Google as the default search engine. This year, that agreement is up for grabs. Will Microsoft put an offer that Apple cannot refuse? We will see that. I think that's part of the pressure that's being applied on Google these days. DOJ also is gathering more and more evidence relating to the monopolizing of digital advertising by Google. I gotta say that with the last 3 months, with everything that's happening with Google, Microsoft Bing, and more people stop using Google and using ChatGPT, I think this case is a bit not relevant anymore. Also in Google, it seems like this is only a Google Google show. By the way, for everyone that asks themselves how important is Google? I'm not even holding Google in my portfolio. If you're not holding Google in your portfolio, well, it's not really the case. Google is in the S&P 500. Google is in the Nasdaq. Google is in the relevant Spider ETF. They're in other ETFs. So Google is so apparent on everything that we invest in that you probably have Google in your portfolio this way or the other, whether it's through Google shares or through a proxy. What else? We talked about that. And also they're stopping a new facility that they wanted to start in San Jose, California. Amazon was the last one we heard stopping. That's it. No more Google. Let's talk about Merck. Merck is buying Prometheus. Merck is actually reporting next week for $11 billion. Prometheus brings with it a lot of bio achievements and data to help Merck advance their researches and become a bigger company. Roblox, last time you're gonna see this slide. Roblox released a monthly metrics. They came better than year before, but actually not really different than a month before, and that's why the stock dropped by about 10% while this was released. But Roblox said this is not gonna happen anymore. We are not releasing a monthly key metrics anymore. That's it. No more. So this is the last time you're going to see that. Apple trying to shake up maybe the financial sector, saying, you know what, if you have an Apple card, you can apply to a high yield savings account with Apple where you will get 4.15 API on your money. This is dramatic. Apple is trying to use their mountain of cash, maybe in order to do good. Who knows? JB Hunt is the only company that you can see the results here. The reason why I'm pulling this up is not because of the results, which I'm not going to talk about. It's mainly because of the commentary. The commentary is the following. They see the total freight transactions dropping by 38%. They see the revenue dropping by 42%. Why is that relevant? Because a recession can be let's say, measured in several places. You can see containers or transactions or freight transactions dropping, then people are ordering less. Who are the people? It's the wholesalers, it's the stores. If they're dropping their orders, it means that they're seeing slowness in the market. So this is another indicator that we might be in a recession, or we might see a recession in the next few weeks, next few months. Hedge funds are getting prepared for that. They have the heaviest short interest on the S&P 500. They're trying to protect everything they can in order to not lose money if we're getting into the recession. This is Bank of America showing that their advisors, fund managers are also bearish. This is the percentage overweight equities versus bonds, meaning because it's on the negative side, they're holding more bonds than equities. Usually when we have this boiling up, that everyone is on one side against the market, against equities, usually there's a ricochet that's very, very strong, or the right, and there's no ricochet and the market's going to crash. Who knows? JP Morgan sees the same data. When they asked their advisors, how many of you are planning to increase your equity exposure in the coming days or weeks? You can see the numbers just dropping week after week. No one wants equities. When no one wants equities, when the trade is so populated, so one-sided, anyone that's in the market for years knows that usually it's a recipe for a very, very significant short squeeze. And again, this is not financial advice, but what I'm saying is that if everyone is so leaning on one side, then there's always an ability to go to the other side. Apollo sees hotel demand slowing down in recent weeks, occupancy and others, which means that the hotel sector is also feeling the recession. You're right. Everyone's feeling the same thing. And this is Fed Bullard, who wants 5 to 7% interest rate. He again this week laid out his plan saying we need to raise more rates. And as of today or yesterday, Fed speak no more for the next week and a half. That's it. They're in a quiet period. So no more Fed speak. Quiet. And now let's talk about Meta. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, announced today that it's opening up its social metaverse platform. They're pushing metaverse, but they're doing that with a lot less employees. Meta this week started another round with 4,000 jobs. Altogether, Meta up to now reduced their headcount by 25,000 employees. 25% of their employee count has been reduced. And apparently Mark Zuckerberg found the new product, the best product, layoffs. He might open an app called Layoffs or something like that, because 25% he's drinking from the same Kool-Aid as Elon Musk. He's taking the same recipe, saying if I reduce my headcount by 25%, is Facebook still working? If you're on Facebook, you probably know that answer. Is Instagram still working? Reels are still posting. WhatsApp is still working, so I'm good. Why do I need 25% more people? It might sound harsh, but that's the case. And also, he's walking and talking with employees and saying, you know what? I'm not done yet. There might be future layoffs. The market, of course, loves this. The market is looking at other companies to do the same thing. Board members are talking to CEOs saying, how come Twitter did that? How come Facebook did that or Meta, and you're not doing the same thing? Add that to ChatGPT and the capabilities, and I believe that we're going to see more and more layoffs. Talking about layoffs, Disney is set to eliminate thousands of jobs starting next week. Arc dropped their bomb this week on the 20th of April, saying that according to their models, with robo-taxi, with full self-driving, with everything they put inside, they expect the value of Tesla stock to reach $2,000. Now, of course, you might say, I want some of what they're smoking. You might say they're the geniuses that have the right price targets. Everyone has their own opinion. That is why they uploaded their, let's call it Excel sheet. It's not an Excel sheet, it's a Google file, but with a lot of tabs that you can play around with. You can put your own numbers and decide, are they correct or have they lost their mind? And if they've lost their mind, then you might have an opportunity to go against what they think. But they're very bold in saying $2,000 per stock. Just a reminder, Tesla, as I'm recording, this is around 160 to 170. So this is over 10x. Even in the bear case, they're saying 1,400, which is 8 times or 9 times where Tesla ended the trading on April 21st. Let's continue. Apple opening their first store in India. That's part of their push, moving from China to India. India is right now the biggest population in Earth. This is going, and it's also growing. So we might see more and more push from Apple. Boeing reassuring their investors, saying, don't worry, yeah, we have all these hiccups, but we're going to deliver and we're not pausing. Reed Hastings, a picture from 25 years ago, sending out DVDs as Netflix. And as of 29th of September, no more DVDs coming out of Netflix. Netflix also, of course, provided earnings and guidance to their results. Regional banks reported this week, and so far, it seems like deposits are stabilizing, meaning maybe the financial crisis number 2 is behind us. I'm saying maybe because I haven't been into the future yet, but who knows? If that's the case, then we might see these stocks bouncing back. Moderna and IBM announced a new agreement. The new agreement will enable IBM's tech with Moderna's capabilities. Moderna needs a lot of computing power in order to run their mRNA research and science, and IBM is considered a great partner for that. BuzzFeed closes their news and media operations. This was a Pulitzer Prize winner operation. They're just closing it. That's it. 20% of the staff going home. And also, I'm not going to talk about Tesla's earnings call, but one thing which is related to NVIDIA, Tesla did mention that they're investing significantly in NVIDIA's GPU. And pricing by Tesla has become something very interesting. They might be making up a new pricing strategy. Every week, increasing, decreasing, decreasing, increasing. It's hard to follow, but as of late, which means in the last 24 hours, they've increased the price for Model S and Model X. And the situation is that since beginning of the year, they reduced the price or changed the prices around 6 times. So no one knows, is the price coming down? Is the price coming up? It might start looking more like airplane tickets rather than cars. And maybe that's a new model. BlackRock's Larry Fink exercises 7% of his stake in BlackRock, worth $25 million. Does that say that BlackRock is at a peak? This is not financial advice, but when a CEO does that, that's a real red flag. Liz Ann Saunders look at the LIE, which is the lending index, and sees that where we are today is usually marks recession. Liz Ann Saunders also says that a recession, a slowness in the market, if you're new and you don't understand what a recession is, softening of the market and reduction of revenue, reduction of earnings, and growth that is not happening, is saying that maybe we're already in a rolling recession. Maybe we won't see a recession hitting the market as one piece, but actually, sector by sector might have been already in a recession or will be in a recession. Take the tech, for example. Take home builders and others. So maybe we will see a different kind of recession than the one we're used to. Again, I haven't been in the future. I have no idea. 21st of April, during market hours, Lyft reports that they're cutting 12,000 more jobs, representing 30% of their workforce. Crazy number. Of course, Lyft stock or investors really loved that, and Lyft stock went up 5%. And on the contrary, Uber stock went down 5% just because they didn't announce the same thing. Yeah, a lot of work being done. Musk says Tesla is likely to launch full self-driving this year. As someone that uses the full self-driving beta, It's an interesting statement. You know what? I'm using it. I love it, but not everyone shares the same experience as me. And something that is happening behind the scenes, launching on Monday, is a new VIX index. VIX is the volatility index. It checks the options on the market. It has different expirations, or actually VIX that is calculated on different times, whether it's a week, 5 days, 9 days, and a month, and more than that. Now they're launching VIX 0 day to expiration. There's been a big change in the market because of the turmoil, because of every report moving the market from one side to the other. Big money, huge money, is buying 0 day to expiration stock options. They're protecting themselves day by day. And that is creating a lot of turmoil behind the scene, which is not measured. CBOE stands behind the VIX index, wanted to measure that. And that's why they are launching this VIX indicator. We don't know a lot about it yet. We probably will know in the next few days. That's something interesting to follow. And that is everything that happened last week. This is what's going to happen in the week ahead. We are going to see all these magnificent companies reporting. Whether you drink your Coke or your Pepsi, you're going to get the answers this week. If you use Philips computers or Philips screens or Philips whatever, you're going to see them. First Republic Bank, Cleveland Cliffs, Whirlpool, Verizon, UPS, Halliburton, GM, McDonald's, all-time high for the last few weeks. GE, 3M, I mentioned PepsiCo, Spotify, Raytown, Microsoft, Alphabet, Enphase. You can see all the logos. This is one of the biggest impacts on the S&P 500 from a reporting standpoint, and that for sure is why we haven't seen anything in the S&P, and everyone is waiting for this week. You can see the logos in front of you. What else is happening this week? We're going to get the PC, which is the Fed's favorable measurement for inflation. So we're going to get that on Friday. And when we end, as every time, with a chart of the S&P 500, or the ETF that follows it, the SPY. The S&P 500, of course, is the 500 biggest stocks in the US, best managed, best in breed. You can see that we are stuck between 4,000, SPY means 400, and 4,100 and 4,200. We're stuck in a very narrow channel where we're waiting for some kind of resolution. The market needs to take a decision. Are we dropping and testing October lows, or are we breaking up and melting up rather and trying to conquer new highs? We will see in the next few weeks. It's going to be super interesting, especially this week, because if not all of these huge mega caps are going to report very badly, then we're going to see the S&P drop because of their impact and their influence on both the S&P and the NASDAQ. If you enjoyed everything that you saw here, it would be excellent if you can smash that like button. Write me in the comments if you're young, if you want more videos, things like that. Just write in the comments. And of course, we'll see what we can do. Till next time. Bye-bye.